Hi there. I'm here to talk about story and to demonstrate really why story has become so front and center these days as a communications platform in both life and business, and as a means of reaching and connecting with others and influencing their opinions and motivating change, whether it's to open them up to new ways of thinking or in business to influence buying decisions. In fact, 68% of consumers say that stories do influence their buying decisions. And companies who use a lot of storytelling in their content have 22% greater loyalty as compared to other companies who use storytelling versus those that don't. So that begins to explain why story is a very front and center topic. And as important as become is also as challenging as it is for many people. Um, as a content writer and strategist who helps people create content that's wrapped in story and or writes content for them, I find so many people coming to me scratching their heads really because they're struggling to find the words, find the ideas and thoughts, find the stories. I do assure them that stories are everywhere. If you raise your awareness, you will find that indeed they are all around, and that many of the experiences that happen to you in your everyday life have applications for situations that arise in relationships or in business, have application in attracting prospects, retaining existing customers, and turning those customers into loyal fans. So I work to convince my clients that stories are everywhere, and I dig deep with them so that they can find theirs. And once we find them, we work on the sharing of those stories. And I give them 3 steps to help them understand the structure of story. The first is that all stories must start with a pain, a problem, or an aspiration. So if you're in business and you're an expert in a specific field, the people that yours will impact, those that are teachers in your area of expertise. So step 1, as a service provider or a product provider, you have to show those folks, your ideal customers, your prospects, you have to show them that you can identify their problem, and even more importantly, that you get their problem, that you have empathy for your situation, their situation, that you understand why they're in pain or why they're coveting a certain solution. In order for you to build a bond with them, in order for them to say, she gets me, you have to be able to show them this empathy. The second step is that you then have to show them that you have the solution to whatever is bothering them. that you can provide the expertise and therefore the helping hand to get them from point A to point Z, from the place where they are and are not so happy to the place where their lives, their situation will improve. And finally, as a proof point of all that, you have to give them a sense of, you have to show them what life will look like when they take your guidance, when they use your product or use your service. And beyond showing them what life will look like, you have to help them channel the feeling of what they'll experience, what they will feel when they get to the other side, when they fulfill their aspiration, when they address their pain, when they solve their problem, and how they will feel when their life will be better. You'll notice in every step of that 3-step process, I use the word feel. And that's the other important piece of story. You have to make people feel. You'll notice I also said the word show. I never said the word tell. That's another beauty of story. You're showing them things that have happened. You're recreating experiences. They are feeling the experiences because the chances are they've had one that's quite similar, or they've certainly experienced the feeling of being in a similar situation. So it's a show situation. You're not just telling them a bunch of facts. So again, 2 important underpinnings to those 3 steps are showing, are evoking emotion, and projecting feeling. And finally, clarity comes in too. Even though stories are based actually on real world, real life events, whether yours or someone else's, they must be communicated clearly. And to do so, you must think about the goal that you're trying to achieve, the behavior you want them to attain when they come to the end of your story. And you must reverse engineer and go through all those 3 steps: problem, solution, what life will look like and feel like, by creating a narrative that utilizes only the most essential elements to get to that end point. You will always find, and again, it's proven, that people retain what you share with them if you project through story as opposed to a bunch of facts or statistics. They don't grab that information as readily. Their eyes could tend to glaze over, and they certainly don't retain it. So that's why story is most important, because when you use those 3 steps, when you incorporate the show, don't tell concept, when you evoke emotion, and when you share all of it with clarity, you begin to build bridges with the people that you want to reach. You begin to create connections. And you create that essential know, like, and trust component that ultimately leads to sales. You break it down that way, it it isn't as intimidating. And it begins to mitigate that fear, that question. How am I going to tell a story? How am I going to find one? Best part about it is when you dig deep, you find the stories, you tell them right, you will feel empowered yourself and you will begin to share them with an energy that's all yours. And when you do that, guess what? You attract people like a magnet. So, whether you're trying to attract customers, whether you're interviewing for a job, whether you're building relationships in your day to day life, consider using story as a vehicle to express yourself. If you want to learn more, dig a little deeper on the topic, please reach out, DM me, or put your contact information in the chat, and I will contact you. I know we'll have a good time talking. And you may pick up some tips that will help you as you move on in life and in business.